Hey you guys, my name is Jeff. Welcome to the video. If you've been here before, then welcome back. Today I'm going to talk with you about 5 ETFs. I want to know something about you guys. So tell me this, why are you interested in ETF investing? I just want to know. Just put it in the comment section, satiate my curiosity, and let me know what's going on. I'm going to guess it's one of two things. Either you want to get really rich and you're trying to figure out the best ETFs to pick so that you can make a phenomenal amount of money, or you have some money and you're just trying to preserve it and make sure you stop losing money. Maybe that's another thing. In any case, whether it's growing money to some crazy way or preventing its loss, I really want to know what you are interested in, what motivates you. This will help me just to understand who watches these videos, and just put it in the comments. Why am I interested in ETFs? Because I've learned a ton about them. I know more ETF ticker symbols than I care to have in my brain, and sometimes I wonder, why do we even learn about this stuff? I will tell you one guess. You see this right here? This is a toy that I got for my dog. She's looking at me right now. She actually thinks we're going out for a walk soon because I'm wearing my jacket. You put on your jacket, the dog thinks walk. I got her this, and what you do is you take treats and you put them in these little, like in this little hole here, and then they get covered up, and you can put food, kibble inside these little holes here. And in order to get the food, you see the dog has to rotate this. You see, you put food in there, it rotates, and move these things, and they love it. She loves this toy because you fill it up with little treats, and then they'll spend 10, 15, 20 minutes just getting them out of here. So that would be my guess as to why people are so into investing with ETFs, because the whole process of learning about them, of studying them, of learning what stocks they hold, what their expense ratios are, what their total returns are, I feel like it's maybe like working out that puzzle for a dog. It engages the mind, it gives you something to do, and as things go, it has like a positive effect if you're able to invest money and have it grow. Anyways, that's my little spiel. My little question to you as to why we are interested in finance and investing. Let's get started with the ETFs. What could an investor invest in now that might give a return that's different than and hopefully better than what people are getting in their standard fare ETFs? This is not advice on what to buy and what to do. This is just kind of trying to figure it out and understand things better and learn. Okay, number 1 is VDE, and this is the Vanguard Energy ETF. And you'd say, well, why an energy ETF? Well, energy is kind of code word for oil, and this is an ETF that invests mostly in oil and gas companies. I'll just give you an example for VDE. It invests in, these are the top 5 holdings: ExxonMobil, Chevron, ConocoPhillips, EOG Resources, and Schlumberger. So these are all oil exploration, oil refineries. They're the companies that get the oil out of the ground, refine it, and get it ready for your car or for trucks or whatever. So VDE, the Vanguard Energy ETF, has a relatively low expense ratio of 0.10. Now, this particular ETF has done phenomenally well so far in 2022. In fact, its return is 61.27%, and this is in an environment where the S&P 500 has lost about 20%. So this has done a lot better than the market. Now, my caution to anyone thinking of investing in one of these energy ETFs is that you get in now after oil prices have rocketed up and you're one of the last to the party. You buy the shares, and then oil prices do not continue their ascent, and then the prices of the stocks in this ETF go down, and then your value of the shares you own in the ETF also go down. So that would be a caution. Nonetheless, who knows? Oil prices could continue going up over the next several months or the next year or so, and the value of this particular ETF could climb also. Number 2 ETF I want to talk about is XLE. I think it's worth just mentioning this. This is the Energy Select Spider ETF, and it holds the identical, at least the top 5 stocks are identical to the Vanguard Energy Fund. But I like to give an alternative just to Vanguard funds. If I just name Vanguard funds, then it's like no fun, right? People like to have some other options. So XLE also invests in ExxonMobil, Chevron, ConocoPhillips, EOG Resources, and Schlumberger, top 5. So I really don't think it's going to make much of a difference at all which ETF one invests in. They're both holding the same stocks. And that is because these are index ETFs. So they just have a list of stocks and they're trying to follow that index. So whatever the index, which is passively managed, has on that shopping list, the ETF company just goes through and buys all of those stocks in the same proportions. So one of these ETFs is not better than the other, they're just different. Okay, so another way to approach this is a materials ETF. And the materials are kind of like the building blocks of our world, you know, kind of like the Legos. They're all of the minerals, all the building supplies, all of the agricultural product, gases and the paints and the chemicals that we need in order to like build out infrastructure, whether that's buildings or railroads or airplanes, you name it, highways, you need these raw materials. So VAW is the Vanguard Materials ETF. And as you might imagine, they buy a whole list of the materials of the world. I will list the top 5 for you guys. Linde is a gas and engineering company. Sherwin-Williams, you probably heard of them. They're a paint company and they also make coatings. Air Products and Chemicals. Corteva, which is an agriculture company. And Freeport-McMoRan, which is a mining company. So this portfolio for VAW has returned negative 9.75, which is, you know, not a stellar, amazing return, but it's much less of a loss than the S&P 500. So if you're interested in battling inflationary times by investing in materials, VAW is worth a look. And Fideltiy also has an ETF that invests in essentially the same stocks off the same list, and that's FMAT, and that is the Fideltiy Materials Index ETF, and buys the same stuff as VAW, the Vanguard Raw Materials ETF, but like I said, I like to give you guys some other options, and Fideltiy offers an ETF that invests in the same stuff. Number 5 is going to be different. That's right, number 5 in our list of ETFs for inflationary times is INFL. And INFL is the Horizon Kinetics Inflation-beneficiaries ETF. Now this is an actively managed ETF, and I believe it's one of the only actively managed ETFs I've ever mentioned on this channel, but I think it's worth looking at because the manager of this fund has been doing this kind of work for a long time. His name is Murray Stahl. And what they've done is they've put together a portfolio that I think is very interesting. The number 1 holding is called Texas Pacific Land Corporation. It's a really old company, more than 100 years old, and they own the property rights to a large, huge piece of land in western Texas. And there's a lot of oil on this land, and what they do is they lease it out to these oil exploration and refining companies, and they just charge royalties. And so as the price of oil goes higher and higher, they're able to charge higher and higher royalties. But they don't have to buy equipment, they don't have to buy plants, they don't have to buy infrastructure. All they do is charge these other companies to remove the oil from their land, and they have huge profit margins, and they make a lot of money when the price of oil is high, which it has been. So Texas Pacific Land Company is the number 1 holding currently in the Horizon Kinetics Inflation-beneficiaries ETF. And the number 2 is Viper Energy. The number 3 is Archer Daniel Midland. That's a food and agricultural company. Number 4 holding is Prairie Sky Royalty. And number 5 is Brigham Minerals. So as you can see, this particular ETF is buying stocks in companies that are similar to what those first 4 ETFs bought. They're buying energy companies or oil, and they're buying raw materials or minerals. And so this particular ETF is just doing it for you, and they're actually combining both for you. Now the expense ratio for this ETF is 0.85. In my view, that's a little bit high. In general, I don't like to pay a lot to the management of an ETF company because that's money that they just scoop off the top and put into their account, and it comes out of your account and into theirs just for running the ETF. And they make money whether the market's up or down. So it's like heads I win, tails you lose. Well, the ETF company makes money every year regardless of what the market's doing. However, you know, this particular ETF, as of the 11th of November 2022, is actually positive 1.79 year to date. Rather, that's the 1-year return is 1.79. And so if you think about it, if the overall S&P 500 is down about 20% or more, and this fund is only down, rather up 1.79, you're doing a lot better with this ETF than you would be in the overall market. And there is an argument to be made for spending a little bit more in expenses to get a better return. The question, of course, is whether this particular ETF is going to continue to outperform the market for the next 5 or 10 years, and nobody knows the answer to that question. However, this particular ETF seems to be doing really well now, and if you're interested in learning more, I would definitely take a look into it. Again, it's ticker symbol INFL, like inflation, and the name of the fund is Horizon Kinetics Inflation-beneficiaries. So, you know, normally here, this is the point where I would kind of wrap up this video, because we have now talked about 5 ETFs. However, I would like to show you that I wrote them all down for you. So, if you would like to jot them down, or if it's just helpful to you to see them listed there, well, there you go. And before we leave this little party here, I wanted to tell you about one thing, one company, not an ETF, but it's a company that I find really interesting, and it's just come to mind. I've been thinking about it lately because of the current environment and also how well this company is doing. So the company is Berkshire Hathaway, and Berkshire Hathaway is run by Warren Buffett and his partner, Charlie Munger, and the two of them have been running Berkshire for more than 50 years. And this company is a multinational conglomerate, and it's a holding company. So essentially what they do is they buy companies either in their entirety, so Berkshire owns whole companies, or they buy publicly traded stock and they just own large chunks of different companies. So you've probably heard of Geico, Duracell. These are all companies that Berkshire Hathaway owns completely. They own Dairy Queen. They own the entire Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad. They own a gigantic energy company. It's one of the largest energy companies in the world. It's called Berkshire Hathaway Energy. It was formerly Mid-American Energy. Oil, gas, wind, solar, you name it. Despite all the volatility and the U.S. stock market being down a lot, maybe 20-25% at different times, Berkshire Hathaway stock is actually up 8.72% year to date as of November 11th, 2022. So just to have a stock in my portfolio, it's one of my largest positions, and have it in positive territory is a pretty amazing situation. So I'm so glad that you stopped by and you watched this video. I'm just curious. I want to know more about you guys, so put it in the comment section below, and then I will check it out. And who knows, maybe I'll get some ideas from you guys, and then that will show me a direction that I can go in making one of my next videos. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're not yet subscribed, then what are you waiting for? Hit subscribe. Then when I make new videos about investing, ETFs, stocks, or even photography, you will get a heads up. So glad that you guys joined today. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.